Alicia Grande.
And I'm Brittany Baker, and today we're here to talk about media, advertisement, women, and what this means on a society level. So this becomes important when we think about statistics such as that the average American will watch 3 years in their lifetime worth of commercials, and that the average American sees around 3,000 ads per day.
Well, you know, that's a really large number. So how could you justify that number? I mean, just what examples do you have?
Well, when we think about that, a lot of people will say that. How am I exposed to that many advertisements? But it's really not that hard when you think about how many times you log onto the internet per day. Every time you log onto a page, there's something. Every time you open a magazine, you watch television. I mean, you can't even drive home, even if you try to not expose yourself to such things. There's advertisement. So it's really a battle that you can't win.
I mean, you make a good point. I think that people are just so blinded by the fact that media is around them constantly, whether they know it or not. And Jean Kilbourne, who is actually the creator of the documentary Killing Me Softly, she believes that advertising is the foundation of mass media, and the primary purpose of advertising is to sell products. But it not only sells products, it sells images, concepts of love and sexuality, of romance, of success, and perhaps most importantly, of normalcy. And she's also stated that advertising tells us who we are and who we should be. So, I mean, do you think that's true? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely think that's true. I mean, you're 22, I'm 23, and I think about my life and what these images do tell me. They tell me, in my opinion, they tell me that to be wanted by men, to be successful, that it's not about what's up here. It's about more what I look like, about how big my boobs are, you know, if I'm skinny enough. So that's what I really think it's telling me.
You know, I mean, I have to agree with you, just because last year Dove started a campaign. It's called the Beauty Campaign, and they were actually recognized because of it with different awards. And, you know, their whole premise of the campaign was about women being beautiful in their natural state. But the funny thing is, or you could even say the most ironic thing about the campaign was, it was, yes, you're beautiful, but buy our beauty products.
Right.
So, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, just that it's kind of almost an oxymoron, saying, yes, you're beautiful, but still buy our beauty products.
I think it's hard. I think they had good intentions, but as far as the company, who is owned by...
it's Unilever.
Unilever. And when I think about that, and you're telling me this argument, wow, I think it's a great idea, but when you really examine Unilever, who they also own Axe, correct?
Right, and you know, they had a huge ad out as well, and a lot of them were pretty controversial. They had the one, most specifically the one about the woman with her legs spread open, and then in the middle was the tunnel that people could drive through. And I mean, they had a lot of ads like that. And so, I mean, what do you think that, what kind of effect that has on society, especially the youth and them? You know, they're constantly looking at media and viewing it, and I think they're more consumed in media than maybe, you know, adults are.
I definitely agree. And I also think with going on that, knowing the relationship between Axe and Dove really shows that it is a market. It's about money. And I think a challenge would be to think about, would those women that are in the Axe commercials, who are, I'm sure, skinny, you know, big, large-breasted, would those women, would the women from Dove fit in that commercial? And I think the answer to that is no.
I think if you ask a lot of people, the answer is going to be no, because, I mean, yes, those women in Dove are considered regular women in society. And when you open a magazine, you don't see the women that you see every day walking down the street, you know, with their kids or walking to work. You see supermodels as the regular women that are portrayed in magazines. And I think that if we saw anything else, it'd be kind of shocking.
It's almost a standard that we as women will never reach. You know, it's saying that you can look like this, but in reality,
it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
So I think today our main purpose is to challenge people in public and in society to be more aware of their surroundings, especially when it comes to media and the way it's affecting women and the way we view women. Yeah.
I really love that you selected these two ads to look at and analyze. And of course, you did this because they both emerged from the same company. And so it's really interesting, and I think it's makes it very clear the two audiences. Same company, two different audiences. One audience it's obviously for women. And how do we know this? Because the women in the bra commercial, or the bra advertisement, are looking directly at the camera. So these women have agency. They are women who look like they are self-possessed, they're comfortable in their bodies, and they're looking directly at you. And so it's very empowering, some would say. I'm sure there's people, the detractors from this ad, but I personally like it because these women are having a good time and they don't have their clothes on by and large. And they seem proud of who they are. And I like the fact that when you look at the ad, you're making direct eye contact with them. On the other hand, you have frankly, a very disturbing ad that most women would probably do find appalling. And the difference between these two ads, just at first glance, is that the image of a woman as a hole of a tunnel, there's just a body part. The woman, the whole woman is not there. There's no agency. She is a passive, objectified thing. She is a tunnel with legs. And so there's this difference between these two images, I think couldn't be more clear. And so this perfume, this scent is asking the people who buy it, the men that buy it, to understand women as though they were things that you could just drive through and never have to think about again. They don't have faces, and in fact, she has no face. There's no there.
My name is Lori Baker, and I was born in 1952.
And how many children do you have, and grandchildren?
I have 6 children and 5 grandchildren.
And what are your thoughts on the evolution of media when it comes to women in advertisement?
Well, if I go back when I was a teenager, my first commercial that I thought was really cool and sucked me in, because I started smoking then, and was the Virginia Slims commercial, and that's what I started smoking. And I remember a very tall, slender, beautiful blonde girl walking, and I was taken with her, so they sucked me in. And I've just really quit smoking.
How do you think the media has changed, though, that image, or the images have changed throughout the years? I mean, was it a little more wholesome back then, even if they were?
A lot more wholesome. In fact, that was the first commercial that I remember that was a little bit over the line. And yeah, right now, most of the things that I watch on television, I can't believe it. I can't believe. A lot of subjects people don't even want to know about. To me, they're personal. We don't need to know that. We don't need to know about, extends and all of these things that are out there for men and women. So, yeah, I don't need to know it. I think it takes away.
What would you say is the difference between when you were a teenager, what the definition of beauty was then, and what the definition of beauty is now for maybe your children or your grandchildren? How that's changed?
Well, I would say in dress, what young girls are showing. I see a lot of happy women that are size 12 and larger, and I don't think they'd be all that happy if they were size 12 and larger. I wouldn't want to expose myself like that, but I know that the average size in America is size 12.
Do you think that's a good size?
Not when you're competing in today's world, and that's what it's become. In regards to the X ad, I'm horrified. It does dehumanize women. It I'm horrified. I don't even want to see that.
Raising children and even like raising
I
young
wouldn't-
males, I mean, what do you think this says to them in regards to females?
That's what's important. That's all they're going to see. So,
Hi, I'm Mallory Price, and I am a mother, and a grandmother, and a great-grandmother, and a great-great-grandmother. Look at me.
No matter what size you are, you're beautiful. Do you believe that's true?
I don't. Oh, they're all lovely, though. And one of each of us, and
Do you think that the
probably
ideal?
will work.
Do you think the ideal of the way women should look has changed over the years? Have you seen that or?
No.
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 Well, what
I
about,
made it.
what about this ad? I mean, this
That-
one right here.
That's a little different.
What do you think this has to say about women in today's society, or the way women are being portrayed?
It's shameful. Just shameful.
Personally, media and advertising has had a great effect on me, as I think over the years, as a younger person, we look to all of what television shows us for what we're going to wear and how we're going to look, and always trying to stay ahead of the game because that's what our culture requires of us. Sex is a great sales tool. Regardless of culture, our brains are created to respond to sexual messages. And I do believe that it has to be kept in acceptable parameters. But we all respond, male and female, to sexual innuendo, sexual jokes, and flirty ads.
I think what's really interesting as somebody who studies popular culture and who has a PhD in cultural studies, I think it's really interesting that everyone thinks that ads affect other people, but somehow or another that they're immune just because they understand them or they have the critical and analytical ability to deconstruct them and put them back together. But the truth of it is, from my experience, is that we are all affected by ads. And I know that I am. I love to open up fashion magazines and look at the clothes and look at the images. It's something that, you know, I will readily admit that I like to do. And I probably don't really understand the effect that the images have on me, even though I study this. And I've studied this all of my life. So no one is immune. Even if you don't buy these magazines, you drive by billboards, you look at television ads, internet ads, and so I think we all need to, all of us, whether we have PhDs or we don't, or we think about these things all the time, or we do, I think all of us have to continue to be vigilant about the effects, the potential effects that these kinds of images and symbols have on us.
So after doing all those interviews today, I think it's fair to say that media does have an effect not only on women in advertisement, but just also in the public as a whole.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting too, even interviewing Freddie Avalos, who is the college professor with communications and mass media as well. She was humble enough to say that, yeah, I am affected by it, and it's kind of ridiculous to say that you're not affected by it, because even once we get more educated on it, once we get more aware of the topic, it's something that we can't go away from. And interviewing, the younger generations, the older generations, I think we see it as like a cycle that's not really, it's hard to say what can we do about it. What would your advice be to that?
I think my advice is, yes, just to be aware that the media does surround you on a daily basis. There's no way that you can escape it, because the thing is that the media surrounds us no matter where we go, and I think the only thing we can do is to make sure that no matter what we see, we still hold true to our beliefs and our values, and we have to stay true to our belief systems and our value systems, because without that, I think we'll lose what's really important to us, and as a society, we'll lose what's important to us as a whole.
Thank you.